Hi, we got the Unreal Engine megapack from Humble Bundle that's currently running and has started, I think, 2 days ago, which are 18 environmental assets and props. You can see from the bundle details, it says that you can redeem it on Epic directly. There's 3 tiers. The $25 should be the maximum. You can pay more, but I think most will pay 25. Those are the assets that you get. These are the keys that you get when you buy it. And now you have to click the keys for them to show up. Then and actually this is by asset and not by tiers. The previous one were by tiers. To redeem it, you have to go to the Epic store and click on your Epic account and then click the redeem code and paste the keys here. You have to do it multiple times. I wish it was divided into tiers. You just had to redeem it 3 times only, but you have to redeem it 18 times. Yeah, that's a minor inconvenience. Anyways, these are the assets. They are from HiveMind. You can see them, and not only except these two, because I already owned them. Those that say owned should be the ones that are included in this bundle. Starting from Olympus, which should be around 450 megabytes. There is no overview level, it's just this showcase. Even up close, the details are pretty good. These are kind of low poly meshes. I think those tigers or lions were different meshes. These are the collision. They somewhat take the shape well. I think they're auto-generated. It's okay, but not for the stairs. These does have some alpha channels. Looking at the vertices, you can see that most of them are below 5,000. Only few of them have more than one material, and they're only one UV channel mostly, and the other one should be for the light map. There are multiple master materials, but they're usually simple, only one or two. And I think they are they are triplanar material mostly. Let's look at the UVs. They are usually triplanar, so the UVs shouldn't make that much difference for it. They shouldn't be UV dependent. Let's look at the material here. Change the roughness, the tiling, and for the tiling for the grunge. There are multiple texture parameters there for the grunge, for the ID, for the metallic roughness, ambient occlusion, and emissive. I think usually the tiling grunge is half of the tiling, or was it double? I think it was half of it. So you can adjust it to your liking. The parameters are there. This is the one, like I said before, the MRA, and you can change the colors. Each one corresponds to different channel of the texture. This is the ID map. You can customize them to your liking. So yeah, like I said, they're mostly triplanar. The UVs are not that important in that case. Oh, I haven't noticed this before. The chandelier and its chain are swaying, so it should use material with bolt position offset. Next is the house on the hill, which is around 1.56 gigabyte in folder size. change lighting a bit, and let's reset it back. Nice attention to detail, nice scene. However, the house is just one piece and the interior is not modeled. Then the light on the lighthouse is not modeled as well. This is the swing. Let's play around a bit. This is also sped up. Nice stylized environment. However, the folder is named further for some reason. It took me some time to find it. This is the swing with physics cable component and physics constraint. These are the movie render queue stuff. I haven't touched them. Let's go to the overview map. These are the rocks and foliage. The house, you can actually lift them up. There is like a wall in the middle. I don't know why. And it's just one piece along with the lighthouse. These are some potteries. And the cloud on the back is just translucent mesh with parallax occlusion. The collisions are okay. However, the swing doesn't have collision. Those two rocks seems to have complex collision. These are the meshes. Some of them, a lot of them have alpha channels. The vertices are usually below 5,000. However, the startup content is already included, which is around 600 something megabyte. That leads to like half of the size of the asset pack, which is unfortunate. These are the material setups. Some of them are also triplanar, like the previous one. Some of them do have UVs of their own. You can adjust the parameters. I won't talk about it much, but just show it here. These are the UVs. Overall, this is a nice pack. However, the house unfortunately is not modular. We have other packs with modular houses, so not that big of a loss. The next is the Pirate Island. Should be around 4.1 gigabytes in size. You can see those vertex animated birds. It's the water and the underside of the water, along with the boats and this wrecked ship. These are some small islands. One thing to be aware of: you have to enable landmass and water plugin for this map to work. The houses do have stairs. Nice attention to detail with the interior. These are the cannons. However, as I will show later, the cannons have the pivots are not that accurate, and the textures here is included, asking for it to be enabled. There's also some necklace systems for animated fishes as well. Going to the overview level, we can see the meshes up close. They're very good detail. This is the direct ship. I wish there were fully separate functional ships, and they can have separate functional parts. This is the collision. It's actually good on the towers, not that good on the wrecked ship. The house seems to have complex collision. This is the lighting only view mode to look at the collision. As you can see, the details mostly come from normal maps, because this is not a high nanite meshes as well in this pack. These are the materials, static meshes, textures, and the VFX. Some virtual textures for the landscape. Look at the vertices. They are generally less than 5,000 except for the houses and the trees. Materials seems to have like a different functional parts. There are LODs included for most. Looking at texture dimensions, these are the materials and master materials. This one seems to have a simpler material setup than the previous ones. And like well, I haven't mentioned before, the ones with the parallax occlusion means that it has height map. As long as the UV is correct, you can displace it. So you got a high poly mesh. And this is the pivot that I was talking about, not correct on the Canon. These are the candles. Well, the emissive mask is provided. The strength of the emissive is not that shown. The blueprint prefabs are also included. Next is the Viking Village, which is about 1.63 gigabytes. When you look at the showcase level, we can see that there are no water. By default, I'm on 5.2. So we have to add the water body ocean. If the landscape brush manager doesn't update, you have to like click some update, force update or something, so it detects it, and it uses splines to set the borders for the water. So you have to make it go up and down for it to appear correctly. And for the water body, you can actually set the water zone. Also, if you want to change the water material to the default one that comes in this pack, you can also do that. Just type water and it should come up, and you can, this is like the default water thing, and you can adjust the spline for it to more correctly cover the areas that are supposed to be underwater. I don't know why it is not like this by default. It seems to be some error there on the on this pack. It should be an easy fix. Now let's take a look. This is the Viking ship with the sails somewhat animated through the material shader. And those roof, I don't know what they're called, also uses parallax occlusion. This is pretty nice. The interiors are also included. Pretty nice and pretty nice pack. They have night enabled by default. Now even if I go to light and only view mode, because it uses mode position offset somewhere in the material, it won't show it properly. So this is what the island looks like. Let's go into the building levels. So the building prefabs. You have to wait for the eye adaptation to kick in for the interior to be properly lit. It's pretty good, but the interior of some of them, you can see the light is kind of like caustics or thing. It has probably because too thin for lumen. This is the props level. These are like prefab blueprints. This is the material. Somewhere the world position offset should be plugged in. Probably it's another material function there. Can change the albedo, the tint and the controls. You can rotate the mesh. This one for the barrel uses UV and not planar, also, although it is an option. You can also set the minimum and maximum roughness. Pretty good controls in this pack. Let's disable nanite to look at the modeling of the meshes. These are the VFX. I think I haven't shown that before. Also, there are some world aligned materials I think used for the crunch. World aligned textures for the cruncher. So it's subtle when you move it. It should be more apparent. And these are the controls for the walls, for the wooden walls. I don't know why the preview here isn't that correct. Doesn't represent what's shown in the level. But I didn't have time to dig in deeper. Also, and two things I forgot to show. You can, when you re-enable nanite, you can see that even more meshes are nanite now because foliage isn't supported in 5.0. And also, I think the sky sphere shouldn't be nanite by default. It's one of those exceptions. Anyways, this is one of the cool things I forgot to show. Is the Thor hammer with the VFX and the hammer mesh. Looking at the vertices, these are also below 5,000 generally, except for the combined houses. These are the UVs, or for at least for some of them. Some of them do have LODs, skeletal meshes. These are dimensions for the textures. Only few of them have alpha channel. And these are the blueprint prefabs along with the houses. Then we have the modular medieval town. We have to decrease the exposure compensation for it to show up. And I think one of the reasons is the directional light set too high, but that's not the only reason. This is a modular pack with this having interior. I still haven't wrapped my fingers around why this preview text appears. I don't know if it's a decal. I'll be honest, I haven't dug deeper. However, this one does have interior. By interior, I don't mean the props, but the interior stuff are modeled. This also have nanite enabled by default. These are splines. Going to the night scene level, it looks pretty good. The fountain and the even the attic is modeled, although that part is hanging inside. Going to the overview level, even if you decrease the light itself, it won't directional light. It won't be the sole reason. You have to adjust a couple of options, but then you could just decrease the exposure compensation. Should work pretty well. The details are really high, even up close. I really like this. However, this pack is also not nanite, but you can of course use it with nanite. Nothing stops you from doing so. I mean, it's enabled by default. Looking at the collisions, they're really good, really good. I'm surprised. This one has really pretty well collision. And I forgot to mention that the folder size is about 2.4 gigabytes. Is like I said, we have to disable nanite to look at the lightning view mode again. You can also reload the assets for if you haven't saved them to re-enable nanite on the ones that were previously enabled. Looking at the vertices, there are also less than 10,000 except for the houses. And these are the UV channels. I don't know why a lot of the meshes have extra UV channels that are not being used. These are the material with lots of controls. So yeah, other UV channels are not being used. The UVs seems to be shared. There is some wasted spaces here and there. Clean at the door. Let's change the color. I don't know what's the difference between that in the overlay. Can't seem to see the difference. You can change the power of the detail, also the tiling. You can also increase the mask contrast, make it look somewhat older. These are the texture dimensions. Next is medieval war camp props, which is about 3.9 gigabytes. From the name, you can see that it's high poly. And this is the wireframe. You can see that it has abundance of vertices and triangles. These are all static meshes. The functional parts are not separated, and no skeletal mesh is included. I noticed that one of the props, I think it was the fire basket, was not included in this showcase level. Also, the catapult doesn't have nanite enabled by default. This is the lightning only view mode after disabling nanite. Is there enabled nanite? Look at the texture dimensions. There are no material variations. I don't know why it should have been master material and others uh, inheriting from it, and the material instance inheriting from it, but it's not the case. These are high polys generally, not all of them. I think there was an exception, but they're generally high poly. They're good looking though. Unfortunately, they're not tricked like I mentioned before. These ones do have extra UV channels that are not being used. This is the UV. You can see because of the high poly count. It kind of is laggy when you look at the UVs. And the UVs are not reused or overlapped. Next is the medieval castle props, which is about 5.15 or 16 gigabytes. This is also in the nanite series, so I are expecting them to be high poly as well. These are the collisions. For me, the lightning only view mode doesn't work unless I disable nanite. That's probably the last time, at least in this video, that I'm gonna disable nanite because it takes long time for it to be disabled. As you can see, lots of parts are modeled and not just from textures. That's the benefit of being able to render high vertices meshes. Unfortunately, the functional parts are not separated, like the chests. Then there is the medieval harbor kit, which is about 2.75 gigabytes. This is also in the nanite series, so you can expect them to have high poly. I think they're between 200 something to 800,000. The collisions are meh, I think. They're not that great. The fishes do look good though. I have to give it some credit there. Up next is shop stand or market kit, which is about 3.8 gigabytes. I think these two were also included in the harbor kit. These are also nanite series. As you can see from the wireframe, they're hard poly. But I believe that some props are getting reused in other packs. They are all 4K textures as well. Next is diner collection, which is about 5.2 gigabytes. Also in the nanite series. Oh, these look gorgeous. Legends are, as usual, meh. You can see the details are from the mesh themselves and not normal map textures. There are also 4K textures. The UVs are, let's say the parts are not being reused. Up next we have the medieval village kit, which is about 7.3 gigabytes. The tools, they look good. Their clothes are not that good. However, the props generally do look good, and these wood, the upper parts or the inner parts are not made well. They're not good. That bell, I've seen it somewhere else. That bell mesh. This is the interior of the windmill. It consists of a couple of parts. These are the collision. Needless to say, this is also the nanite in the nanite series. It has extra UV channel that's not being used. Metal customizations, and that cloth doesn't have normal map, or it's not included. They are also of all 4K textures. These are the UVs, the symmetrical parts are not being overlapped. And then there is the modular stylized desert town, that's about 1.25 gigabytes. It's, I think, aimed for FPS maps usually, but like I said, modular. These are some of the VFX included. Kind of reminds me of Dust map in C Counter Strike. These are the assets that make up the pack. You can see these are not nanite, but rather they are a parallax occlusion, so the height map is included. And nanite is enabled by default. Some of them have complex collision. some of the blueprint prefabs, and also these air conditioners. When you play, you can see them rotate. They're done by blueprints rather than, usually these are done by what position offset in the material. Speaking of materials, those are the materials included. These are the vertices and material count. Although I think when nanite is enabled, I should do it with the nanite vertices instead. It's more accurate. These are the Niagara systems that are included but not uh, shown in or put in the overview map. These are the texture dimensions. Like I said, there are some height maps or displacement map, however you would like to call it, and they are imported as 2K, but because of max resolution, they have been toned down to 1K. You can change that according to your need. These are the UVs. The similar parts are not reused or overlapped. Note that the folder is named FPS template and not the desert town. Anyways, next is the modular medieval building kit that is about 9.92 gigabytes. These windows are separated into right and left parts of the mirror. These are also Nanite series. The high vertices count to show that. That one has wrong texture. Wrong material. I'm gonna get into that later. However, I really like this pack. It looks really good. This is another mesh with wrong materials. Uh, these are the collisions. This is not complex collision, by the way. You have to decrease it to concrete 11, I think, for it to work, and the wood to let's see. Yep, this seems like it. This one also, you have to reverse the materials, then it will be correct. Now, I don't know if if the normal map plays in this one. This one says that it has master material, however, is not used everywhere, and there are other master materials, fortunately. And the vertices, there, I think, uh, um, yeah, most of them are below 1 million triangles. They're all 4K textures. And the lag UVs do show that the same parts are not overlapped. Then there is the French Village, which is about 2.1 gigabytes. It's a small scene. I don't know why. None of this is not enabled by default, and um, the window mesh is not set to. It doesn't have a material. It's just for a test. It's a small scene, probably for cinematic and stuff. Not very impressed with this pack. However, there might be some meshes that you can salvage. Getting close to the end. We still have 3 packs left. This is the Blacksmith kit, which is about 2 GB. The charcoal looks really good. I've seen these meshes before. I'm pretty sure I've seen those too. And that fire basket was from the war camp. Are these the same? I haven't compared them. That's way too glossy in my opinion. It's also a nanite series. This is the collision that the furniture looks really good. These are the vertices. Wow, this has like 13 or 14 million triangles for this basket alone. Wow, talking about overkill. These are texture dimensions. 4K. Up next is the modular church, which is about 4.4 gigabytes. This one is for level instance, that's why it doesn't have lighting. However, it looks like this. Architecture, although I'm not familiar with church buildings, architect, this one looks good. This is one part door, they're not separated. Collisions are okay. This is what it looks like from the inside, but there are no props, or minimal props actually, but haven't been set up in that. It's around, yeah, only 2K and the others are 4K. The vertices, yeah, except those, they're below 2 millions. And finally, we have, I think it's called message. I don't know. It's one of them. This is like 2.85 gigabytes. This is what the showcase level is. You can go into the asset part. This is not the night series. The collisions seem all complex. Oh yeah, they seem complex, alright. Got folk cars, landscapes, related stuff. These are the meshes. They're usually below 5,000. However, there are two 8K textures included. Almost missed them. And these use old cascade particle effects. In the UV, the parts are not reused, overlapped. Oh, the medieval war camp megapack. I tried to load it, but each time I opened the map, it crashed. I tried it multiple times, different settings, the results were the same. However, I was able to just extract the meshes, and as far as I remember, almost all of them were parts of one of these packs, or just like taken from these packs. Not all of them were nanite. Some of them were kind of low poly. I think from the Viking Village, especially. Some of the props were taken from there, like the towers. Yeah, so that's about it for that. And the size was about 11 gigabytes, if I haven't mentioned this before. Overall, I think it's you get a lot of you get a lot of props for the price of around 25 US dollars. You get a lot of meshes, environments. Generally, some of the meshes do get repeated in some of the packs, and also even the most realistic one, I think it does have slight tinge of stylized mixed with them. They're not photorealistic quality, however, especially the nanite one looks really good. But like I said, they have some tinge of stylized to them, or a tinge of style to them. It's not something I dislike, and you get lots of VFX and the UVs. Generally, if they're not using triplanar, of course, they're generally not reused or overlapped. Because I was working on this overview / review of this bundle, I couldn't upload more videos. However, I should be slowing down a little bit because of my health issue as well. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a great day.